Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon for the latest film interviews, features, and recommendations on the movies that matter.
Naseer bhai, good to see you, Naseer bhai. How are you?
Doing very well, Rajeev. Hope you're well also.
I am. Thank you. Naseer bhai, I believe that belated birthday wishes are in order. You turned 70 less than 2 weeks ago. What was that like? I mean, was it a muted affair because of the times that we're in, or was it a celebration on Zoom like most people have been doing with friends and family?
Yeah, no, that's the celebration on Zoom is too frustrating because I think it makes you miss the people even more.
Correct.
So what we did was the children came over. Imad and Hiba lived by themselves, so they had both come over and they stayed a couple of days.
Nice.
So it was just the five of us, Imad's girlfriend Saba, Hiba, Ivan, Ratna and myself. And we just sat around, had a very good, long family get-together, which we haven't had for a while.
Right.
It was, I don't feel any different from 70. Well, it's a milestone and all that sort of thing. But then, so is practically every decade.
That's true, but it is the big 7-0 is that major milestone. I mean, was it a period of reflection, introspection, or has this entire lockdown been that anyway?
There hasn't been all that much introspection on my part, but there have been a few change of habits. For example, helping around the house, which I realized I've seldom done, and which I should have been doing all these years. But because we have domestic help, I didn't think my help was needed. I have to say I quite enjoyed it. It's become a bit of a habit by now. And so I wake up every morning, I make my bed, and I still dust the house and I do what I can. And I've learned to cook a few things. I've learned how to make a dal or two. I've learned how to make rajma chawal, which is something, it's good to keep learning things.
True.
And then I've been working on my Urdu writing and reading, which I we were taught the alphabets as children, but I could not read fluently. And now, after this 5 months of lockdown, I've been reading a lot, typing in Urdu, which is very easy actually, and reading a lot of Shakespeare.
Wow. Among the lovely tributes and wishes that people sent out on social media for your birthday, there was one from your monsoon wedding director, Meera Nair, and I want to read that one out to you. She wrote, "One day late happy birthday to the great lodestar Naseeruddin Shah, the eternal barometer of the truth, skill, courage, and talent. Thank you for the shade you have given us all." How do these words sound to you, Naseer? By lodestar, barometer of truth.
It's sweet of Meera to say that. It is, and all the other very touching things that people have said. Anil posted. I'm not on Twitter, but somebody sent me the message he posted. It's very touching, and it's a great. This is a tremendous gratification to receive this kind of regard and affection from people who you in turn have a great amount of regard and affection for. It's very touching. But I don't take these terms, lodestar, legend, all this stuff. I take them with many pinches of salt.
I'm sorry, I'm determined to embarrass you just a little more. Another special message was the one from your brother, Lieutenant General Naseeruddin Shah, on Twitter. He wrote, "The kid brother, undeniably the best actor in the country. He and I make an unbeatable tennis pair. We beat the AMU teachers team culled from 1,600 teachers." He makes you all sound like a Pace and Bhupati. Have you missed tennis during this period?
Absolutely. Though tennis has been taboo for me by the doctors for the last almost a year because of my back problems. I miss it. I miss it terribly. It's my favorite sporting activity. Apart from cricket, which is out of the question anywhere. I'm too old to play it. And again, my back gives way because in cricket, you need your back, whether you're batting, bowling, or fielding, or wicket keeping, or anything. So games, I'm afraid, physical games are out. Mental games can still be played.
Naseer bhai, you completed over 50 years of acting in film and even more in theatre. You said in an interview, I read that you said in an interview recently that you're not yet done as an actor, that where is there what is there in life without it? Is that what motivates you to get out of bed and go to work every day when you did?
Actually, what motivates me now is, and what has been motivating me over the last 5 months is to find something to do to combat boredom. I have to say I have not felt bored at all in these 5 months because I've been constantly confronted with this empty day, and as a result, I've found things to do, and I think I found the cure for boredom. What motivates me is another day of loving, another day of learning through my life. I'm not an early riser. I'm not much of a morning person, but I do wake up with with a gleam in my eye almost every day. And it is essential now at my age to keep learning newer things, which is why I've been reading a lot of things I haven't read before. I'm brushing up on my Urdu, and I intend to learn a few things in the future. I intend to learn pottery. I had intended learning carpentry, but my back gets in the way. So pottery is probably what it'll be.
Okay. But have you missed acting? Have you missed rehearsing for theatre?
Oh boy, I haven't missed shootings, I have to say. But the theatre, I mean, it's like, pining for a beloved, lost beloved. Yeah, we had a lot of shows lined up.
Right.
We had a month of performing in Bangalore, 4 plays a week's run for each play. Then we had a season which should have ended this Sunday at the Prithvi Theatre of 2 weeks again, in which we wanted to perform our play Waiting for Godot, which is the first play Motley ever did.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's been very tough to live with the thought that these are not going to happen, because working in the theatre is my lifeblood, and there are few things in life I love more than being with the whole team, pulling together, laughing and crying together, eating together, joking together. Because in theatre that happens. In films that doesn't happen. Correct. In films the star is locked into his air-conditioned cocoon, and he's never part of the gang. So yes, I can't wait. I can't wait for the theatres to reopen, even if it means there's going to be half capacity or whatever it is. And there's no rule of above 65s.
Right. Right.
Which I think is a pretty absurd rule, by the way, Rajeev. I mean, what is this? 65 is what is, it's like when you drive through the Chambal, if you've ever driven that way past Agra to Delhi, they say, please stop. You can go after 2 hours. Why? Because डाकू हैं. तो डाकू 2 घंटे बाद चले जाएंगे क्या? कि 5 बजे से 7 बजे तक आप नहीं जा सकते. 7 बजे डाकू पैकअप करके चले जाते हैं. So if a 65 guy is in danger, what about a 64-year-old guy? He's not in danger. And I can lie and I can say I'm 62. And there are young people who've been infected. There's young, I mean, so tragic. Young policemen, young doctors, young health workers have got the infection. So, and in any case, as I said in an earlier statement, that above 65 actors are too indispensable.
Right.
I mean, you need a father, you need a grandfather, you need Bachchan Sahab is over 65, Paresh Rawal is over 60. I mean, there's a huge roster of actors who are above 65. Film industry can't do without them. They'll have to accommodate. What concerns me is the plight of someone who's not an actor and who's 65.
Correct.
He's a spot boy, if he's a light boy, if he's a camera attendant, if he's a hairdresser, if he's a makeup man. And these people are so easily dispensable,
True. Naseer, with all the streaming services today, the Amazons and the Netflix and the Hotstars, this has turned out to be actually quite an exciting time for actors. We've seen some very fine actors finally land the roles that do justice to their talent, which films were not giving them.
Absolutely.
The option isn't just films, television, and theater as it used to be. There are all now these shows and movies that one could do, and suddenly there's also a whole new audience.
Right.
Do you ever wonder what it might have been like for you in your prime if these opportunities were available?
Well, I would have been overloaded, I would think, with work, because without boasting,
Mhm.
It is a fact that in the 70s, almost every filmmaker of a different stripe
Yeah.
wanted me in their films, and I felt fantastic about it. Uh, that I happened to be at the center of this movie. Everybody wants me, you know. I didn't take all the films that came my way because I physically couldn't accommodate them, and there was some I really didn't like.
Right.
And the fact is, there was a lot of rubbish also made in the name of art in the
Right.
70s, you know.
Right. Right.
And I totally am in agreement with with what you said, that so many actors who wouldn't otherwise get the chance in movies are getting great opportunities. Not only that, some great scripts are being written, some great ideas are being explored
True.
without the pressure of गाना डाल दो, fight डाल दो, hero कौन है, you know,
Correct.
बिकेगी कि नहीं, बिहार CPC में क्या होगा,
Right.
all this kind of nonsensical, you know, arguments that come the way of a creative filmmaker. So many subjects which would not have been able to be explored in cinema are being explored. What I don't really approve, and I'm not a prude, but what
Right.
I don't really approve of is the propensity to use foul language all the time, just because they've been given the license to do that.
Right.
I don't like it. It muddies up the whole thing. It's very easy to make a, a sentence strong by saying, instead of saying what are you doing, say what the f are you doing. You know, it
Right.
just gives it power. So filmmakers are falling for that. I hope they get out of this habit and not try to emulate the Martin Scorsese's and the Tarantinos who have an F word every 3 sentences.
True. True.
It will challenge them more. And another great thing that's happened is that it's pressing filmmakers to think,
Yeah.
to how to work under restrictions, and that I think is a very good sign. And it may lead, fingers crossed, it may lead to an improvement in the general standard of filmmaking, because the filmmakers have realized that if they apply their minds, they can come up with something better.
Right.
I think the days of the 500 crore movie are gone forever. I really think so.
You know, you've acted in a new show called Bandish Bandits that's going to drop soon on Amazon. You play a Sangeet Samrat, a sort of no-nonsense music legend and teacher in Jodhpur. He has very high standards for his students. Why was this a role that you wanted to do? Why was this something that made you go, I want to do this?
Well, firstly, Anand Tiwari is a dear friend. I really admire him. I think he's a fantastic actor. Has opted instead to direct, and he's made some pretty charming stuff. The film he's made, the short films he's made, and so on,
Yeah.
and I really like him. There's a great personal fondness between us. And when he asked me if I would do, I said, yeah, well, of course. I mean, I'm not averse to anything. I've worked on television. I've worked on theater. I've worked in movies. I'm open. And so he came to me with this quite wonderful story. I was not looking forward. I don't look forward now to long 45-day outdoor schedules anymore, you know.
Right.
And this involved that. So I was a bit hesitant. But when I heard the script and when I heard the shades that the character has, which is very interesting, because if he'd been a goody-goody guy, you know, who's always helping everybody and who's singing sweet songs, I probably would not have touched it.
Right.
But here was a character with, you know, with shades. There's a character with grays. He's a pedant. He's a man who respects only his own opinion, who's gone so far as to disown his own son, and is now, to prolong his vanity trip, trying to train his grandson.
Right.
And he has very fixed notions. It's either what I say or it's nothing at all, my way or the highway, kind of a thing. And he's responsible for several of the turmoil situations that occur within the family.
Right.
And I found it very interesting. In fact, it ends kind of with a defeat. He ends up kind of defeated at the end. I won't tell you how, because that's part of the But I really liked that. Plus the singing, which has always been a bit of my weakness. Until I did Mirza Ghalib and I had to sing these songs by Jagjit Bhai, which didn't have any background music, just his voice. So it was really tough to catch the sync. But I kept listening and listening and listening and listening, and that was the days of Walkman. And after listening to it about 50 times, I thought I could hear him breathe. Because I used to wonder, how the hell am I going to know when this line starts?
Right.
And if I listened to it very carefully, turning up the volume, I could hear him go just before he started the line. And I said, that's the way. And it was a great lesson for playback for me and dubbing. To catch the breathing of the singer, or you catch the breathing of the character on the screen when you're dubbing him, and you're through. And so that was a great lesson. And then this one, where again, I had to really concentrate on the singer's breathing. And Pandit Ajay Chakravarti, this great classical exponent from Kolkata, he has sung for me, and it's a great honor for me that he's done this. And it's very difficult, to lip sync to classical music, to the murkis, and to the the riffs that they suddenly take.
Right.
And I had this wonderful teacher called Akshat, young man, who explained these things to me. And he said, "Dekhiye, ye is note pe hai, ye is note pe hai." So he would write out the notes of the words that I was singing. And so, yeah, it was a great challenge. I worked rather hard on it. I had great fun. Right. And I think if my performance is successful, a very large part of it will be have been played by Pandit Ajay Chakravarti and Shankar Ehsan Loy, who have composed the music. Most unlike the kind of music they usually do.
That they usually do.
So in every way, it sounded like a very exciting project, and it was.
Right. It's interesting listening to you talk about lip sync, because I know you've said that. I know you've said in the past that it was always hard for you to catch that lip sync. But I have to ask, you've had those chart busters, and I'm going to embarrass you a little again. I mean, Tridev, you remember that song? You've actually said about Tridev, you said that was the film that added 10 years to your film career. You used to say that a big reason for that, of course, was the song that became the chart buster, Tirchi Topi Wale.
Yeah, that's why, it just proves that life always has a surprise in store for you somewhere. It was the last film that I among the ones I've done, which I expected would smash the box office. Right. First of all, I was astonished when Rajeev came to me and offered me this part. I thought he was going to offer me the father's role or the elder brother's role or something. And he says, "No, you have 2 songs. Yeah, and you're one of the heroes." And Jaggu and Sunny were the other 2. I mean, they were really the 2 who were already in the film. I was added. And it was very sweet working with them, because that was the first time I met both of them. And they're both extremely sweet people. And, the journalists will keep asking this dumb question about, you are working with 2 people who are not considered, serious actors. So I said, look, what the hell does serious acting have to do with it? Right. Both of them have established themselves. Both of them have a tremendous presence on screen. Both of them are savvy. Both of them are intelligent. And in their field, considering what they're required to do, I think they're both very good actors. Correct. You judge an actor not how well he does an emotional scene, but by how well he personifies the character and how well he serves the purposes of the movie. True. I could never see myself acting in a film like Betab, which Sunny did, or in a film like Hero, which Jaggu did. Right. So I had a great time with the 2 of them. And I don't know if they were slightly envious of me landing this Oye Oye song, but I did. Right. And I couldn't believe my eyes or ears when I walked into the theater at the premiere and the song had just begun. And the cheering and whistling, and it was a spooky moment for me. I never thought it would happen to me. And I'm very grateful to Rajeev for having given me not only Tridev, but Mohra as well. That's right. Which added another 10 years to my career.
There's also another film of yours, Naseeruddin, that's releasing this month. It's actually going to drop. It's called Niraksam. This is, of course, the tribute to Kaifi Azmi.
It's a tribute to Kaifi Saab. It has been shot in his home, in his hometown, in his house, most of the film. Right. The house itself stands for several locations, which was very astute of the director, Baba Azmi. Right. And it is shot in this village that Baba grew up in, where Kaifi Saab lived at the end of his life, and a village for which he did a huge amount of work. Right. For girls' education, for the postal department for getting Mijwan on the map.
Correct.
It was not even on the map.
Right.
And then Kaifi Sahab did all these things. He made Mijwan a recognized entity. It's a beautiful, very clean village, and I'm sure his presence had something to do with it. But the film is not about him. I suppose there are reflections of him, what he must have gone through as a child when he wanted to write poetry, and he was probably compelled to go to school or something like that. So it's about a child who wants to learn Bharatnatyam and the resistance she faces from this orthodox village. And it's her father who has a tiny tailoring shop in that one little cabin where there's one man sitting with a machine who's the only one who supports her. It's a very brave, very honest, really heartfelt film. And it introduces a most marvelous young talent in this girl, Aditi Suman, who belongs to Mijwan, and who will, I was quite astonished to see her performance. I haven't seen experienced actors perform with as much gravity and as much poise as this little girl has done.
Oh, lovely. You know, one of the producers of that film, of course, is Shabana Azmi, who is your co-star of many films. 15 films? Masoom, Par, Sparsh. What was she like as a producer? Did she behave like a boss?
Oh, no, she was very sweet. I was suffering from a bit of a bad backache at that time, and because I had to postpone Baba's shooting for a while, and finally I thought I can't postpone it any longer. So she was very, very sweet and very considerate. She wasn't there at the shoot, but she was very concerned about how, because it's the longest drive from Lucknow to past Azamgarh into Bijwan. So she organized a car for me in which I could lie down at the back, and she'd organized pillows. She'd organized a meal on the way, and was extremely concerned, kept calling up and inquiring. Shabana has witnessed a few of my my illnesses. Once during the shooting of Albert Pinto, I ate some bad batata vadas, which I was supposed to eat in the shot. And I was laid up for a week. In Masu, same thing happened to me, food poisoning. So Shabana is you know, she in fact, she warned Boni when we were going to shoot for Hum Panch, you know, look after Naseer's health. He tends to fall ill. Yeah, well, she's
spoken about that crippling back pain that you had while making this film. You know, it kind of prompts me to ask, what have been some of the most difficult film shoots that you've endured? I mean, do you remember instances of really challenging film shoots? I mean, either because of health or other reasons.
I have found challenging is doing songs in Hindi movies. Swimming across the river in Par was not half as challenging as trying to dance with Mithun Chakravarti. Every time I've had to do a song, I get the willies. You know, it's all my own doing. When I was at the Film Institute studying, I never imagined I'd have to sing songs. I thought that in commercial movies, I'll get the role of the cop or the gangster or the, you know, kind of, you know, something. I'll be able to earn my bread. That was my only hope from the film industry. What I had hoped for was the movies like Ankur and Sara Akash and Bhuvan Shom and Saath Hindustani and all, which had just been made and which had been successful, also acclaimed and successful. I thought, I'm going to get work in these kind of movies. And sure enough, that's what happened. The mistake I made was in assuming that I'd never get to work in a film like Sunaina or Karma. And so I didn't prepare myself for those. I prepared myself for the Pars, the Sparshas, the Masooms of the world, but not for the, you know, the Chamatkars and the Sunainas, which is why I was never really good in those movies. I'll have to take another birth, you know, to come back and do these songs well.
You know, Shabana Azmi said about Niraksam that she believes that the film offers hope. Naseer, in these unprecedented times, you know, with this pandemic going on, what have been your thoughts during this time? What is the hope for humanity?
The hope for humanity is if humanity wakes up. I think this is a warning Mother Nature is giving us. that you fooled around with me long enough. I can do this also if I want. I who've given you all these beautiful oceans and mountains, which you have sullied and filthied and destroyed. I can do this to you. I don't need earthquakes and titanic floods. A little microbe can do this to you. So what I have been dwelling on since the lockdown kind of eased. And what surprised me was that I was walking to a friend's house nearby, and I was waiting at a zebra crossing, and a car actually stopped for me, which is something that has never happened before.
That's true.
They'll honk and get you. You've got to run across the road, And several times in Bandra, this has happened. That people have stopped and said, go. People have stopped spitting and urinating and defecating on the streets, throwing litter on this. I hope this can lead to a lifelong habit among us. Now, I may be accused of being anti-national for saying these things, but the fact is, this does happen here. And it's about time. All of Modi ji's Swachh Bharat has really had not much effect, because we still indulge in our old dirty habits. And I hope this teaches us the importance of cleanliness, the importance of hygiene, because I think without that, we're getting nowhere. And the importance of consideration for the other.
Yeah.
That is very, very important.
Thank you, Naseer. Thank you so much for this. And I do really hope you're right. I mean, I think that if we come out more sensitive to each other, it will be a lesson learned.
And to nature, if we could be more sensitive to nature, if we could give back to her as much as she's given us.
Right. Thank you. Wise words from a 70-year-old legend, even if you don't like to hear that. But thank you. I can't wait to watch the new show, and stay well, stay healthy. I hope you can go back to doing what you love and what we love watching you in the theater, in the film, sooner rather than later. Thank you very much. A belated happy birthday, and looking forward to lots more, Naseer.
Thanks very much, Rajeev.
Thank you.
See you in the flesh soon.
See you in the flesh soon. Thank you. I look forward to that. Thank you, sir.